Dr. Lum, founder of Generational Wellbeing. I'm a pediatrician and really passionate about helping parents create sustainable, healthy habits. And I'm on live today to really bring awareness to the habits that you've been like daily habits that may be affecting your health that you may not be aware of. Because as we know, awareness is really the beginning of healing because it shines light to the problem or whatever the issue may be, and until that happens, you will not know what to do to make the change that is necessary towards your well-being. So I will get started yet again. I will start by saying that the reason why I'm really passionate about this is because as a pediatrician, I see a lot of families who are dealing with chronic disease conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, depression, and all of those things that we say run in the family. But I really want to say that yes, there is a risk, but also with every risk comes with choices. And even if you have a 5 or 15 or 16% chance of getting it, that means you still have a chance of health. You still have a chance of well-being. There's something that is in your power that you can do to change that course, not only for you, but for your family too. And so yes, if you have a disease, by the time that disease is actually diagnosed or it comes to a form where it is disease, it doesn't come at that same point. In medicine, we know that by the time we get to the point of disease, it's usually long-term over time based on our lifestyle choices, where we start making choices where it is surrounded by our food choices, our sleep, our diet, and everything. And that accumulates over time, and then eventually as our body starts changes, there's some kind of aggravation, and then our body starts presenting with symptoms to lead us to know that we're out of balance. And when we don't listen to those symptoms that are indicating to us that we're out of balance, and then we have tissue damage and then diagnosis of disease. So here I'm just going to give you just a few things that you may not be aware of that you may be doing, and also to say that if you start listening to the wisdom of your body is always going to try to guide you back into balance. And when you start getting symptoms, whether it's a headache, anxiety, acid reflux or heartburn or brain fog and all of that stuff, those are actually symptoms to tell you, or your body's way of communicating to you that you're out of balance. So the mistake most people will do is will start taking medications to mask those symptoms, as opposed to going back and really reflectively going back and saying, what things did I do to get to the point of out of balance, and how can I get my body back from out of balance and back into balance? So because our bodies are really, like I said, designed for balance, and once we're out of balance, it has such wisdom that it will let you know to start making changes back into balance. And yes, so that's really it. So I will say that I started out initially when I first came on, I gave an example of the percentages and the choices and stuff. I will not go back in there, but I'll just say that regardless of what choice it is, again, it's listening really to the wisdom of your body. Now, the second point I will make on this is that sometimes, though, our bodies are telling us something, and then we're allowing the distractions around us to tell us a different signal. How can let me give an example with this. So I will give an example, say in the pediatric population, I would say weight. For example, that is a very it's a very touchy subject because a lot of people are sensitive about that topic, right? Now, I want to say with that though, I don't typically will give you a weight or ideal body weight for everybody because we have different body types. But also, just as we have different body types, our bodies will respond to different stressful situations differently. It will respond to medications differently, and that's why you have different kinds of medicines. There's not one medicine for high blood pressure or one medicine for diabetes, just because everybody's response to the medication is absolutely different. And whether or not you're going to have a side effect to that medication is just depending on how your particular body comes together to process whatever you're putting in it. So We have issues where we compare or put this ideal picture that everybody's supposed to look a particular way. That puts a lot of stress on ourselves. It puts a lot of stress on our kids and stuff, because then you're actually starting out with a poor relationship with self. I'm not good enough. I am supposed to look at like a particular image. So with every action that we're taking from that point of the thought, I'm not good enough, the action, I'm going to try to get myself to look like someone that I'm not, and then leading you to imbalance. And then you start having all kinds of symptoms. And then we wonder why maybe a particular diet is not working for us, or a particular regimen that someone else has tried and work perfectly for them because they're doing something that is good for their body type, and it's not working for us. That brings low self-worth, low self-esteem, and then our kids go out there, they're already going out on a negative, and someone else or bully at school confirms that negative. And then it leads to depression, anxiety, and then behavioral problems where they're not focusing at school. I don't want to go to school anymore and stuff. So all those behaviors, again, those are symptoms to say we are, again, back to out of balance. So every symptom, whether it's a emotional behavior for kids, or it's a physical symptom, or even if it is a mental symptom, those are all our body's way of telling us that we're not looking at the things from inside out, but yet taking out other people's values in, which will lead to symptoms, right? And the second thing is, so once we start comparing, again, our actions again are going out of alignment with our values. So let me give an example with, say, diets, because diet is really big. There's a lot of information about different kinds of diets out there, whether it's a ketogenic diet, or it's a intermittent fasting diet, or it's a high carb, low carb. There's so many things there. And granted, some of those will work, but then you have to know your body type, or how your body is going to respond to that specific diet for you to try it. So a lot of times we compare and do what other people are doing, and we say, try, for example, I'll give for myself an intermittent fasting diet. I know my body type doesn't agree with that. And you will know yourself, where if you go without eating for an extended period of time, your body will tell you, whether it's that you become angry, very reactive, or you have brain fog, you're not able to do what you're supposed to do. But then ultimately you're looking at the wrong goal to get to a certain weight, but then undermining what your body is telling you. So you end up with symptoms, increased heart rate, you increase inflammation, and you wonder why you end up with disease. But because ultimately every action has to start from the inside out and not from the outside in. So say, for example, someone else tried that particular diet and it worked so well for them. For me, it's going to make me absolutely miserable. And once you start out, when you're planning, okay, this is the year I'm going to start making choices. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to do all these things. The first step really is to pay attention to who you are. Start asking, how do I react to a certain food? When I put a food in my body, what happens? Or if I'm in a stressful situation, what are the tendencies or the things that I tend to do that are undermining my well-being? When I'm stressed, do I reach out for coffee? Do I reach out for sweets? And do I reach out for the salty stuff and all of those things that you habitually just, I'm stressed out and stuff, I'm going to reach out for all these things. And then we get home, my mind is racing and overacting because I'm really pumped up with stimulants from the entire day. Then I cannot go to sleep on time because it's taking me a bit longer to shut down. And we know sleep is important, and we can preach how important sleep is. But if we are not fixing the things that we're doing during the day, we come back home, I can't shut it down, I can go to sleep, and then the tendency again is like, okay, maybe I'll take a medication, or a melatonin, or Benadryl, or any other things, or drink a glass of alcohol to help calm you down to go to sleep. But then once you do that, you don't have restorative sleep, and you wake up the next day again, brain fog, and all of those things lead to inflammation, and then eventually down the line, disease. So really starting with looking at how your body is responding to situations, even with yourself. That's the relationship with yourself first. Being kind to yourself and really listening, like, yes, that's a good idea, but how is my body responding to it? Yes, that's a good diet option, but is that diet option really for me? So really doing your research based on your your body type, and then you can make a better plan for how you're going to act, because you can plan on doing the best diet ever or exercising and doing whatever, but unless you uproot that seed of disease and start making plans based on the seeds that are rooted in your specific body type, it will be very difficult and challenging, because your body is eventually going to tell you or kind of give you or guide you to different ways that will be frustrating for you. And then eventually, like, I give up, nothing works. Even with exercise, there are some people who are good with exercising all the they'll run outside even in the heat of the sun, and they don't go over exhausted. You don't want to look at that and do the same thing, and then you're exhausted or heat stroke and something happens and you end up in the hospital, and then you're already defeated. So and this is just, the first thing is looking at the wisdom of your body, listening to your body. And then the second point is really avoiding comparing yourself to what is working for everybody else. Because again, there's so many options. There's diversity for a reason. You have to look and understand your needs. And then from that understanding of who you are or what your needs are, then you can appropriately plan on how to take the next steps. And then finally, I would say it's just nothing is ever perfect, right? I mean, even if you make the best plans and stuff, you have to be patient. You have to give yourself time to adjust. And even along the way, because there are ups and downs in life, if there is something that throws you out of balance, again, like I said, your body is always going to try to bring you back into balance. It's just being kind to yourself and readjusting and rerouting, and just keep going. And things will keep happening. But as you do that, you are showing self-care, self-love, and that's always reflected on your kids. And there's that connection with your kids, and you nourish the relationships and the environment and everything, which is really key to well-being. Hope this was beneficial. I know this is my second take, so I kind of ran through it. I may come back in again and really talk more about it if I go back and I see that I didn't find in the last video. Well, thank you all for listening. It's way past the time I allocated for the video. I will be putting on some more videos, and also I am launching a course, the Generational Wellbeing Healthy Habit Blueprint. Really, I say blueprint because again, it's just tools to help you really understand that wisdom of your bodies and creating habits that are true to you, true to your family. That way you can be consistent with it, as opposed to looking at habits or doing plans that are not true to you. And as a result, frustrating and depressing. And then you end up saying, well, it is what it is. I was probably going to end up with that diagnosis anyway. So hopefully this awareness resonates with you. Leave a comment, send me a DM, let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be willing to answer. Thank you again for listening.